you ever felt.
Are you listening?
Welcome to the Business of Influence podcast brought to you by Style ID Africa. My name is Leroy Mark, and this is the podcast where we give you the news, the views, the reviews, and the interviews, and everything that has to do with the world of influence marketing. Now, in this episode, we chat to you about people who've left the boardroom to go and work backstage. Increasingly, this generation is leaving working for a paycheck to go look into more purposeful, driven work. We chat to Dankiso Makene, who's an account director over at Style ID Africa, about how he made the pivot from working in corporate to being in the creative arts. Let's meet him.
I'm Tank. Thank you so much, Makene. PR award-winning PR practitioner, radio content producer, TV director, and right now influencer marketing account manager.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Business of Influence podcast brought to you by Style ID Africa. I am still Leroy Mark, and we're joined in the studio by Tank the Tank. Tank! I see you at the office every day, and now you're on the couch.
Every day.
No, I mean, when I do come to the office, we're a hybrid system, we work from home. How are you, Tank?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. You and I share a lot of history about how we don't like working in corporates. It's an interesting world.
I guess not so much don't like,
Yeah.
but I guess interest will drive you into different spaces.
Okay, interest. I like that.
Yeah.
I think it's a very,
Yeah.
it's a better way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Our interests have driven us to different places.
Yes.
Before we start our conversation, we do a little
Sure.
game here at the
Okay.
podcast where we, just to break the ice for those who don't know you very well, we've been told that you've got your phone on you.
Yes.
Please show us your wallpaper, your
Okay. I have depends what
Let's
what
see.
I feel like.
Okay, so what's on today?
So today's like weekend casual.
Oh, okay. Please show your camera. Your camera there.
I must tap it. Oh,
Yeah, there. Okay.
I don't know if you can see.
Weekend casual. People
Oh.
say having yourself as your wallpaper is narcissistic. What do you say to them?
Maybe I am. I mean, I love myself. So hey, and if you don't love me, there's something wrong with you. So,
show me the Monday to
other
Friday
one.
one.
Ish, kinda, how do you do this? Wait, I want to show you. I forgot. how.
This is the first time I found someone who has a different wallpaper for what time of the week it is.
Yeah. Oh, I just can't find it now.
Okay.
I know you can click on it and then
It'll pop out at the bottom.
Yeah, you know that whole.
Slidey.
Yeah.
What-
Anyway,
so
I'm
what-
in a
what-
suit today.
Yeah. Is that to keep you in mind? In mind.
Yeah, now you know I must, be in boardrooms and speak serious English.
Be a real person.
Be a real person.
Okay, not be the weekend person.
Yeah, not the weekend baddie.
Okay, weekend baddie. Okay, let's get into our conversation. I said to you, you and I sort of share a history of realigning our career directives, right, and our directions. Chat to me about when in your life you realized that actually working in a boardroom or working in sort of the traditional formal economy was not for you.
So my background is that I studied economics.
Okay.
And as I was studying into my third year, I then had interest I then dropped out, right? So I then went into radio. But the interest of radio for me, even going back to studying, the decision to study economics was that I always wanted to be in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
But because we grow up obviously as a generation that you have to follow a certain route to life.
Yeah.
It's go study, then buy a house or get married, all of those
Yeah,
things, right?
big car, big house.
Yeah, big car, big house. So for me, I had always known that this degree that I'm studying, which was economics, either way, I'm going to find somewhere to work in the entertainment industry with it, some way. I didn't know what.
Yeah.
But luckily, then I got an opportunity to work in radio. That's when I really started. And that's how then my career then started, because while I'm working in radio, I'm meeting all these personalities, I'm meeting all these PR people, and then PR then caught me. So it wasn't really a sense of I didn't want to work in corporate, but it's just that then my life took a different
Yeah.
direction into in the industry. But I always knew that I have human interest, I have human story interest,
Yeah.
and that's how I wanted to kind of play in the world.
How much of what you studied was also because you realized that the entertainment world and the creative economy is not as stable as the traditional, job market? I'm a lawyer by trade, and we're told that you'll never not need a lawyer. You'll never not need an economist or an accountant or a doctor. How much of that was what drove you to say, okay, if I can at least secure the paycheck, I can then be able to sort of have the freedom to move into other aspects of my career?
Again, I think for me, it wasn't so much that. It was so much that I needed a degree.
Yeah.
Right? I needed to kind of stabilize myself, because that's what I'm told from home, that if you want to make it in this life, get a degree and then you'll be taken seriously. Only to find that actually, no, I can maybe have the degree, but also be able to go into other spaces with it. So it wasn't so much so that I thought the degree wouldn't work for me, but it was that I just needed it. I needed it to just please the parents, and then go do what I want to do. I think for me it was in that sense.
How much of not having a degree for the work that you were doing and having a degree that's seen as sort of a traditional, very academic degree, made it easy for you to get into sort of the creative space and be taken seriously? So much of the creative world is open to people who might not necessarily have, a formal education background. And because you don't have a degree in radio or a degree in PR per se, the fact that you have a degree in economics, which is really, really strong, people go, okay, he might not have the degree for this particular industry, but he must be smart enough to have gotten a degree in economics, right?
Yeah. So I think, I always tell people that approach me with, there's no job, that I have nothing to do, what can I do? And I said, keep busy. When you keep busy, you will find something that you will love, or something that will stabilize you, or something will come to you, or an opportunity will come to mind, right? So yes, it does play a role, because there is that sense of, okay, cool, he's focused, he's determined, or you're just responsible. And I guess that's why sometimes a degree will teach you that discipline of working towards something. And for me, it's then that's the double inverse, that for me, if you are busy and you are teaching yourself to be sustainable, to be loyal, to be disciplined from whatever you're doing, then life will open doors for you, and you will find a place where you feel, okay, cool, I can actually build a career from this.
Keeping busy, some people, when they think about keeping busy in this industry, the first place they go into is into social media influencing and being content creators and being people in that space. Why do you think that that's the natural progression, especially in 2025, where when you did your first move, you had to go into radio, which is a bit more difficult to get into than, for instance, having, a nice iPhone and being able to start creating content?
I guess people think it's easy money.
Is it really?
Is it really? I think it's easy money, but if you look at, again, back then, presenting used to be that. People thought, everybody thought they could be a presenter.
Actually.
Even when I got into radio, I just said, I thought, okay, the end goal will be me being a presenter on radio, but let me start somewhere else. And even though I ended up doing it, but it was not the first thing I did, right? But I think people think it's easy. People think, and it takes a lot to be an influencer. Things like your audience, are you authentic with your content? There's so much more that goes into, can you engage with your audience? So I think people think it's easy, but it's really not. and it looks like it's easy. So it's just, I guess it's where this generation is.
And for those who've really been able to make bank from it, what have they done differently, I think, as opposed to people who get in and go, okay, this is a really quick way to make money? How? Because, I mean, you've worked with mega stars who've got really big brands, and you've helped build those brands in some instances. And you've also worked in really interesting places. I mean, you at some point were managing a very big alcohol brand that has a wonderful sort of horse racing event that was attached to it. And I distinctly remember going to that event, and it was the name sponsor at the time, and going, I would thank you so very happy. They're living, because it was so huge, right? And a lot of us were.
And we were.
No, you were massive. You're massive. And I think it might also have been the first brand that really gave sort of like mega celebrities FOMO. Because they were like, I need to work on this brand. I need to be part of this brand. And for me, that was very interesting because, again, you know, those people wanted to be influencers for your brand.
So again, what's interesting for me back then is that we were moving away from the whole, so brands used to secure ambassadors, right? And moving away from ambassadors was that if I place just one mega celebrity on this brand, there's so much risk that can come with that
From one
as well.
person,
From one person to carry a whole global brand messaging, right? And you find that there's so many dynamics to one brand. There's so many environments that a brand lives in, and as a human, you could only do so much, right? So we kind of started at the phase of bringing in influencers or bringing in more voices or personalities that could represent a brand. So with that, it's then how we then started this whole, let's have a squad of people to then speak to this, because this guy can be our lifestyle. This girl could be our luxury when we want to activate luxury. So yeah, I think for us, we started the influencer dynamic, not knowing that we are actually starting this beast.
Let me tell you what was actually so funny about it. At the time, I knew 2 or 3 people who were close to the brand, and some were in the brand. And it was the first time where we had influencers, the way influencers now are trying to secure contracts, right? Celebrities were doing that. I know 3 people who were like, okay, cool, I'm going to send my manager. We're doing proposals. We need to be influencers for that. And I think it's what influencers today are now looking to be when they look at what those celebrities were, if that makes sense. Because for the first time, we saw that influencers were able to make massive bank. They were everywhere, exclusive events. They were part of a huge brand that when you look back, you're like, but why can't I even go in there?
Yeah,
you know?
why can't
and
I
it
do
really
it?
segmented for me what the sort of the mega macro influencers were from the I've got numbers, but you know, I'm not a big guy.
I think, you know, to answer you, and I guess from your previous question, right, it's again understanding what you're doing, right, and understanding what it is that is needed for me to produce certain work. As much as presenters back then, they needed to go to school to be presenters, to understand, oh, when I look at a camera, it means this. When I do this, it means that. And it's that, again, that people need to understand what they're doing in terms of social media platforms. What you do on TikTok, what you do on Instagram, what you do on Facebook, what you do on X, a whole different audiences that want different things at different times. So if you don't understand why you're doing something, you will not then get there. So go learn why. And then that's why digital marketing has become a thing you can study, because now it's become more than just posting and pictures. It's a whole consumer cycle for brands. It's a whole advertising thing for brands, because traditional advertising is gone, you know. So it's become a whole industry and an economy that you need to understand. Why is it an economy in that sense? So when you understand, you will then get to where you want to go, and then figure out other ways of where you fit in.
I think when we come back, I want to chat to you about the education.
Yeah.
And how what you do in lieu of the education to teach yourself about the next industry you're getting into
Yeah.
from the one that you're currently in. We're still speaking to Tank when we come back on the other side of this. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and tell a friend we're on the timeline. See you soon. Welcome back to the Business of Influence podcast. My name is still Leroy Mark. We're still powered by Style ID Africa, in studio with my colleague Tank, who does wonderful things of making influencer marketing make bank for many, many people, including myself. We're chatting around moving from a paycheck into the boardrooms, and from the paychecks into purpose, and from boardrooms into backstage. The thing about moving careers for me is very interesting, because when I made the shift to move from being in formal legal practice, going into this creative industry, there's a lot of learning we do, right? You are an economist, I'm a lawyer, but we have an issue because we're going into an industry where we're not formally trained for it, right? And you made a comment in the last segment about you need to learn what you're doing. What are the things that we need to sort of codify for people who are moving from, say, a boardroom, who are working in corporate and now want to get into creative arts, especially when you don't have the luxury of going back to study for whatever you're going to be doing next? Because, you know, statistically, you'll have 15 career changes, moves, and then you have 3 big career moves. So I can't get 3 degrees for every one of my moves. So what do you think, you know, people should be doing to facilitate that?
What I found beneficial for me is never be afraid to start from A.
Yeah.
Right? As much as I have worked, like when I left PR, I was heading a whole department. I was running like big brands, right? And when I got into influencer marketing, as much as it was one thing for me, but I needed to learn this beast that was starting and learn what the brands want. And I was not afraid to start learning from A again and leaving the whole title thing. I think we magnify titles so much, especially in corporate industries or office or whatever, you know, jobs, that whatever knowledge you have, it will help you get back to where you want. Yes, they are important because I guess they make you feel respected, or people will respect you because they think, oh, Leroy, you know, is a lawyer that, you know, worked at this place as a what, you know. But I think what's really beneficial, and if you want to get into a new industry that you're not familiar with, don't be afraid to start from zero. Because also what that helps with is once I end up becoming, I'm trying to think, let's say you're an account manager, you coming into an industry, where you start and where you end up, you would have known what happens down there first.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So that by the time you get to that position you want, you actually understand this whole cycle. And I think for me, that's what has been beneficial, that you must start from the bottom up and don't be afraid to do that. And also, again, if you want to move from one industry to another, you can't just come in and think you know it all. You don't know it all. So be able to be agile, be willing to learn, and you will learn on the job.
What do we say to people who don't have the luxury of being able to leave the one job fully and start a new career? You know, I remember distinctly when I tried to move into the media space, where I would spend weekends at the studio. So I'd work 9 to 5 in the week, and then the weekends I'd be just sitting there learning everything. You know, what is there a better way for people to transition so that it's not so jarring? Because you can imagine we've got bills to pay. We've got, you know, houses to keep. We can't just move into our passions. How do we make that transition smoother?
Moonlight, I'm kidding.
Moonlight. Take on a second and third job.
I mean, it also depends where you are. Maybe you are willing to, right? But I guess it's the same as somebody that is maybe working a 9 to 5 and wants to start a business. You really have to find the balance of how do I invest in this thing that I really want to end up doing while I'm sustaining my life right now, but also have a goal, right? Set up your goals of, okay, cool. In the next year, this is what I want to achieve within this thing that I want to do. So for me, the transition has always been that if I'm interested in something else I want to do, I'll start small and I will start on the side a little bit, learn it, then kind of find the balance of, okay, cool, this thing needs my attention to this level. This is where I'm trying to go. So that transition, I think, will be different for everybody depending on what you want to do or where you're trying to go. But I don't think there's really a certified way of doing it, because it'll depend on what you are doing or what you're trying to get into. But I think having the passion and the interest and wanting to learn will always get you there.
How do we deal with things like imposter syndrome? Because you know, we work in a place where you work in ecos, I work in law. We've got the degrees, right? So at the bare minimum, your institution has said to you, you're competent to at least hold this degree.
Yeah.
Now we're in an environment where I don't have the degree. I've got the passion, I've got the love, I've got the hunger, but I don't have the thing. And I mean, you've seen yourself across multiple parts of this creative economy where you need to be a producer, where you haven't gone to school for that.
Nope.
You're now also television producing, which is very different from radio production. How do you manage that imposter syndrome? Because it must be almost debilitating.
It is. And honestly, I've suffered from it. And it can be so like, dismantling, right? I think it's also about just blocking out the noise, because what imposter syndrome is you telling yourself that you are not competent for this thing, but there you are doing it, right? So I think you really have to be in the present of, if I was able to get in and step in, it means there is something about what I'm doing that I'm capable of, and then learn and then equip yourself. But I think it's such a personal and mental thing that you really have to learn how to block out the noise yourself, noise coming from self.
Which is the loudest, really, right? Because you're in your head all the time.
Yes, you're in your head all the time. And also, don't be afraid to be criticized if it's constructive criticism. Don't be afraid to ask for feedback, because what I have learned is, once you start showing that you want this thing and you asking for feedback, you will learn then, oh, I am doing this well. No, maybe I need to learn here. And for me, in the place that I am, I think what has been really beautiful is finding people in these spaces that can take you under your wing. And that's why I always encourage people that are in great positions, people like Leroy. We need to be better for others that are coming after us, so that they don't have this imposter syndrome. They have people that say, you're doing well, you're doing good. Okay, just change 1, 2, and 3 here, or learn this and that. So, because if you don't have people that are encouraging you, you don't have people that saying you're doing well, because we want that gratification of, oh, okay.
Especially in the creative arts, Tank, because in the creative arts, I always say, you know, when you do sums and the answer is 11 and you get 11, you've won.
Done. Yeah.
With us, we need to, because it's creative, it's so personal. It's your ideas, it's your life, it's your heart on the line. And when someone says, "Oh, that's a terrible idea," like, you don't sleep.
Yes.
You know, it really, really stings.
It's funny that you mentioned that. So I was teaching my team the other week. We went to a brainstorm, right? And that's why, for me, I'm like, when I come into a space, I bring in the knowledge that I have, right? So I was teaching them that, and to kind of block that whole imposter syndrome thing in a brainstorming session, is that you never say no to somebody. It's a yes, and you then add to what you're saying, because there are no bad ideas really, but we can pivot the idea. We can turn it into something else. We can turn it into something great. So I was actually teaching them 2 weeks ago that you never say to somebody no. You tell them, oh, yes.
And
You could turn left, or you could turn right because you'll find a stop sign, or you could turn T junction. You know, there's so much more to explore within ideas, and there aren't no new ideas. Also,
Yeah.
somebody has done it, somebody's thought about it. It's just maybe execution that's different, but there are really no new ideas. So never block somebody, because then it's like, where do you want me to go after saying no?
Yeah, and you've taken the wind out of my sails.
Gone.
I can't bring up the next idea. I love
No.
that. What I've also come to understand from your story is that you have to almost be elemental, right? What I mean by that is you might not have the understanding of a particular concept, but if you come with the elements of hard work, being teachable, being hungry, there's no space in the world you can't maneuver around and work in. But we must talk about the money.
Yes.
Because, I mean, these shifts and pivots, especially in 2025, for me, it's so interesting to see people who come into, like, the creative arts, for instance, influencer marketing in particular, where you'll find someone who has, like, there's a particular content creator who's in the Eastern Cape. And he is a humble, lives in very, very, like, humble setting, right? And I just saw recently that he has a big campaign with the skincare brand, like a massive skincare brand in South Africa. And he's making bank now. And I was like, oh my word, I'm so glad you got this campaign, right? But clearly his content creation was something he was doing on the side to document what's going on. And for us who do the full move over, how do you manage the paying the bills, the still also being able to ask for what you're worth?
Yeah.
Because even in the transition period while you're learning to be this person and being teachable, I still need to get paid.
Yeah.
And someone said to me, no, just document like your experience and then say, yeah, based on this, you must pay me
must pay me
100,000 Rand. And then you look at the list of your experience and you go, I mean, I wouldn't pay myself 7 Rand.
Yeah.
You know, how do
Yeah.
you bolster yourself to make yourself more bankable?
I think it is knowing your value, right?
Yeah.
It starts there, that knowing what I can bring to the table. But I guess to my earlier point, then the starting from scratch also does come with that knock of you might not make as much as you were making there, but it's working back towards there. And then getting that experience of this is what I need to be paid for. So again, that's why also you can never really leave one job and go to another without having, or leave a job and think, oh, I'll find another one. We live in a very terrible economy where jobs are very scarce, and money is scarce as well. So I think it is a knock you'll have to take, honestly. But learning and wanting and being passionate and consistency will get you back to the money, because you have the principle and you have the discipline for it, and the money will always come back. I think once you start doing things you love and you do things with passion, the money will come back because somebody will see value in what you're doing. And really being a person that wants to deliver good work, somebody will see the value.
I think you can't beat the drum of being teachable and hungry enough, because what has, for me at least, put me on great stead is having good work ethic. Trying to meet deadlines as best as I can. And even if you go down the wrong route, hey, like if you get a piece of work and you're told to do A and you go down B, making sure that you apply yourself 110%. So that we go, hey, you got it wrong, but at least there's effort
You
there.
delivered,
And I can teach effort. We continue our conversation and wrap it up when we come back with Tank, teaching us how to move from one career to the next, to the next, to the next, and still make a bit of bank. See you soon. Welcome back to the Business of Influence podcast, brought to you by Style ID Africa. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Send it to your friends and tell them that we're making bank in the business of influence. Still in studio with Dankiso, who's teaching us how to move from one career to the next, but still keep the rands and cents making sense. Tank, before we close our conversation, I mean, there's two questions I really want to get into. I don't think we've discussed what the feeling is when you know you want to do something, you want to make the move, but you're not sure. I distinctly remember going from one job to the next in my previous career so that I could just like confirm to myself that, okay, this is not working.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trained as a lawyer. I went to work at a bank. I went to work at an audit firm. Then I went for an NGO, and I realized it's not the companies, it's the work.
Yeah.
Right? And then I made the decision after 5 years. What do you say to people who know they've got a love for something different from what they're doing and want to get into content creation, into production, into, artist management, etc., when they feel like it's misaligned what they're doing now?
I think start, right? That's the best part. You just start, because you will never know, because you have to do a trial and error.
Yeah.
For you to know whether this thing works or not, you would have had to try it. So even in a small way that you can, like you moving from bank to, you have to go figure out, okay, cool, does the bank work? No. Does the firm work? No. So it's a trial and error thing. And if you're going to sit back and think, oh no, I'm not going to make it there, because you never know. For me, it's like when I started in radio, I never knew that content producing and PR is some things that I would love so much. Because for me, it was just, oh, you're going to get a mic, you're going to just speak.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to create a topic now and then. But there's so much more that goes on. And starting just opens up your eyes to a bigger world than you would have ever thought about. Influencer marketing for me is not just content create. It's not just us saying, influencer, take a phone, create content. There's so much more that goes in, because you have to create strategies, you have to create messaging, you have to create angles of, okay, we want you to shoot here, shoot there. And for me, that plays into my creativeness, because I love being a creative.
Yeah.
So if you don't start, how would have I known that, oh, I can still do strategies actually with content creation? It's not just a phone and talking to camera. No, it's, what are you trying to say? Or, you go into a rabbit hole of discovering more.
And you find your thread. You'll find your thread on what you're currently doing and how to get into that industry in a more sort of purposeful way.
Yes.
I think one of the my favorite quotes came from someone who said they always wanted to be a model. And so they couldn't get into an agency, they couldn't do anything. So what they did was they went to work for a magazine. And they would work like taping the shoes, steaming the clothes, until one day they said, oh, you don't fit in this thing. We need someone to wear something, and you're the only person in the room who fits into it. And that's how their career began.
Yeah.
So they came in via a very far back door, but they found that there's actually
a thread.
Yeah. Something
And let me
can
tell
do.
you, that works. And like I said earlier, for me, being busy, because there was that person being busy doing something else that had nothing to do with modeling, right? Because all he's doing is helping other models be models, and never thinking you'll be seen behind the scene. And there'll be somebody be like, no, actually, this person fits in. But also that opportunity of, there you are in the right place, and then right opportunity opens up for you. There you go.
Yeah.
So just be in the spaces that you want to be in, and an opportunity will open up somewhere. And that really works. It really, really works. It's worked for me. It's worked for a lot more other people.
Worked for me.
Yeah.
What do you say to people who are, the younger generation? And I mean that with respect to Gen Zs.
Because we old.
See, there's grey in every beard on this set. But what do you say to people? Because I think having the first mover advantage, there's also a first mover disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
For people like us who've looked at our parents doing the traditional careers and then deciding we want to do something different. We still did our ecos, accounts, and then moved over. What is your hope for the generations that are currently making career choices? Tomorrow I'm going to start applying for whatever, so that they don't make, I don't call them mistakes, because it's just a realignment for us, but for them to purposefully make those choices and not go the long route that we've had to go.
Sure. I think that's a very tricky one, because I do wonder, where this generation is gonna end up,
Okay.
right? Because they make career choices based on the instant gratification of now. But we learned that you have to build towards something, and not that it's wrong. It is just something we were taught. They wanna, I want to get somewhere now. I call it Uber.
Yeah.
We had to be like, I had to go catch 3 taxis
And
to
a
get
bus
there,
and a train.
and a bus and a train, right? So it's not wrong in that sense. And I think at the end of the day, it probably work out for them
Yeah.
in one way or another. But yeah, I just, it's a question for me, honestly, as well, where that will lead up to. But I think when you're consistent and you're building towards something and you are securing the things that are important to you, because for us it was retirement. I need to make sure my retirement, I'm good.
My medical aid is paid.
And my medical aid is paid. But for them, it's enjoying the now. That I don't know what tomorrow's going to happen. And I think we saw that even with COVID.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's one thing that taught us that actually it could all end tomorrow.
Yeah, it really could.
So would you have not enjoyed your life now? So I think find the balance of enjoying your life, but also the balance of there is still tomorrow.
Yeah.
And just, find that balance.
Find the balance. I think for
Yeah.
me, it's been interesting to observe your career and in parallel to lots of our contemporaries, people who've done what we've done.
Yeah.
And what I've come to really appreciate is that you've leaned in to all aspects of your talents.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're trying to do, to continue to lean into all aspects of our talent,
Yeah.
to move into the work that makes me happy, the work that gives me life, the work that gives me light. And by continuing to do that, it means that it might move careers,
Yeah.
but as long as I go in there wanting to lean into the things that make me happy, that's the big thing.
It will be. And there is no greater thing than finding joys in the things that you do, but also knowing that you are not stagnant, or you're not, you're multifaceted,
Yeah.
right? You have other talents. And if one doesn't work, go do another thing.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I think it's like looking at it as, I know I want to go dance for Beyonce, but I might not. I could manage her better.
Yeah. Find yourself in the room.
Find yourself in the room.
Find yourself in the room.
So just know that you have many talents that you can explore in different ways and find yourselves, and then you will find yourself in the places that make you happy.
Yeah, and hopefully those places make you
Make
bang.
you money.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank
I
you so
really
much for
appreciate our
having me.
conversation, and I'll try to come to the office more frequently.
Yeah, do that.
That was our conversation with Tank, an account manager at Style ID Africa, who has many, many talents and has leaned into all of them. So when you're looking for something to do, maybe just take a bit of time to think about the purpose that you'll put behind it. It's been an interesting conversation. I look forward to chatting to you soon. And my name is Lyra Mark, and I'll see you next time.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.